We started going over the names of Allah Ta'ala, and we covered the first name of Allah, which is His greatest name. And we need to add that detail right here. And His greatest name. That's not consensus, though. According to our Shaykh, the name Allah is the greatest name of God. That's not a consensus. Some said Allah knows His greatest name. That means, we don't know for sure which one is His greatest name. Just like, when is the hour of answered dua on Friday? Is it at the last hour of Asr? Is it between the two speeches? Is it any time? Could be any time. On one Friday it's one time, and on another Friday it's another time. And when is Laylatul Qadr? Is it the 27th of Ramadan, or is it another night in particular, or can it be any night? So some scholars, they said the time for answer dua on Friday is this time, and some of them said Allah knows when. And some of them said the night of Al-Qadr is this night, and some of them said Allah knows when. And some of them said the greatest name of Allah is Allah, and some of them said Allah knows which name it is. And let me also remind you that the names of Allah Ta'ala, some scholars said His names are not created. What does that mean? It means like when we say the Quran is not created and His attributes are not created. It means that any created words we use to refer to them, those are the created things. But what those created words are referring to are not created. So when we say Allah, this created expression refers to an uncreated being. And when we say knowledge of God, power of God, life of God, these created expressions refer to His uncreated attributes. And when we say Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, and other names, these expressions, these created expressions also refer to something that's not created. That's the meaning of the statement of some scholars that the names of Allah Ta'ala are not created. The second name is Ar-Rahman, which is the one who has abundance of mercy for the believers and the non-believers in this world. And exclusively for the believers in the hereafter, and even you could take this part off. Exclusively for the believers in the hereafter, it's possible to remove that and say Ar-Rahman means the one who has abundance of mercy for believers and non-believers in this world. And if you want to condense that, you might say Ar-Rahman means the one who has mercy, the one who's merciful to everyone in the world. And Ar-Rahim means the one who's the merciful, who has an abundance of mercy for the believers. And if you want, you can add here, in the afterlife. Abundance of mercy for the believers in the afterlife. That's why some scholars said, it could be said, Ya Rahman ad-Dunya wa Rahim al-Akhirah. Ya Rahman ad-Dunya wa Rahim al-Akhirah. That means, oh you who was Rahman in the dunya and Rahim in the afterlife. If He's Rahman in the dunya, it means He has mercy on believers and kafirs in this dunya. And if He's Rahim in the afterlife, means He has mercy only on believers. So this name, Ar-Rahman, in comparison to what comes after it, has an additional letter. And it has 7 letters. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's an alif that we say and we don't write. That's 7. This one here, Al-Rahim, has One, two, three, four, five, six letters only, and there's no implied letter. So Ar-Rahman has an additional letter because it has a seventh letter. Ar-Rahim only has six letters. And that additional letter is the noon. And this pattern for Ar-Rahman is present in Arabic language because you'd say Ghadban. Ana Ghadban means very angry. Not just Ghadib. Ghadib means angry. Ghadban, very angry. Or you might say Huwa Sakran. He's drunk, very drunk. So Ar-Rahman is very merciful. And it means specifically what we already said, merciful to believers and non-believers in this life. The linguist said that when two terms derive from the same origin and one has an extra letter, then the one with the extra letter has an extra meaning. Ar-Rahim is the one who's merciful, who has abundance of mercy for the believers. And this meaning is found in the saying of Allah, وَرَحْمَتِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَسَأَكْتُبُهَا لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ. That means my mercy has encompassed everything. That means in the dunya. So that's the meaning of Ar-Rahman. And I shall reserve it for those who had God-fearingness. That's in the afterlife. And that's the meaning of Ar-Rahim. And Allah is Al-Malik, so the king or the sovereign or the ruler. Now, as for using the word king, I don't know, it doesn't appear to me that this is an imperfection for Allah Ta'ala. So someone wants to offer what's imperfect about it, then offer please, and then let me hear you. Or the sovereign or the ruler who has absolute dominion. The one whose dominion is clear of imperfection. Dominion is ownership and rulership. The one whose dominion is clear of imperfection. Dominion with a capital D is his attribute. He has an attribute called Al-Mulk. That's his ownership. And he has Mulk, which is a creation. That creation is his ownership. That's not his attribute. It is his possession. Al-Malik, with the kasra on the lam. Not Al-Malak, with the fatha on the lam. Malak means angel. And this is not Malik, with an alif after the meme. Malik, although Allah could be called Malik. And this is not Malik, with a ya after the lam. Malik, although Allah could be called Malik. This is his name, Al-Malik. Al-Quddus is who is pure from any imperfection and clear of children and adversaries, means the Holy One. So Al-Quddus is one of his names that refer to his attribute of Kamal. Kamal means perfection. He has several names that refer to this attribute of perfection. His attribute of Kamal, of perfection, has several names. Kamal is one name amongst many names for the attribute. And here's another one. As-Salam means the one who is sound. Sound here means clear of every imperfection. So salam here doesn't mean peace. Some people say Allah has peace. In some of those like posters of the 99 names that have translations to, some people put under As-Salam the peace. Peace. That's incorrect. No, salam here means the one who's clear of imperfection. Because Sin, Lam, Mim has the meaning of soundness. If something is salim, that means it's sound, not defective. Like you say, for example, al-aqlu salim, sound mind. Al-mu'min is who witnessed for himself that no one is God but he. and who witnessed for his believers that they are truthful in their belief that no one is God but he. That's one way to explain it. Also, al-mu'min could mean grantor of safety, grantor of safety, because the letters Hamza, Mim, Noon, they have both of those meanings. In fact, we can take a look here. Let's see. Hamza, Mim, Noon. Hamza, Mim, Noon. This root has two essential meanings that are close. The first is the opposite of treachery and betrayal. So that's like safety, being safe and trusted. And the second is the deeming something as true. That's the meaning of believer, mu'min, or believing. So you say amina, that's past tense. Amina ya'manu. Ya'manu, that's present and future tense. Amnan is the source. Or amanan. Al-Misbah says, this is the tranquility of the heart, the aman. It means safety, security. Al-Misbah said, it is the tranquility of the heart. So that's why one of the meanings, one way of interpreting al-mu'min is the one who grants safety. Here, even amana imanan. Iman, you know the word iman. Amana, to make safe or to grant safety, to protect. You say, Aman al-Asir, he granted safety to the prisoner. Allah says in Surah Quraysh, وَآمَنَهُمْ مِنْ خَوْفٍ. He amanahum, he gave them safety from fear. So the grantor of safety, someone who grants safety, is described as mu'min. Al-Muhaymin, this name of Allah, I still didn't get around to studying it more. Al-Muhaymin is who witnesses the sayings and the deeds of his creatures. Yes, and there's some other interpretations for Al-Muhaymin also, and I don't know what the root letters mean. So I need to review and study there and ask, so we can get very clear understanding. Subhanallah, didn't the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, whoever memorizes the 99 names and comprehends their meanings shall enter paradise? So it became clear that comprehending their meanings requires study and requires attention. It requires some time. So someone might think, khalas, I'll memorize them. Give me a word to translate for each name, and then I'll have their meanings. Not like this. Al-Aziz means the defeater who is not defeated. That means the invincible. And Aziz, Al-Aziz could also be interpreted as the unique. If something is Aziz, it's rare. That's one of the meanings of Aziz. You might say, Hada Aziz, this thing here, this is Aziz, this is rare. So then, if that's the meaning for the name of Allah, then it means the unique one. Do you remember in the science of hadith, there's a type of hadith called Aziz? Some scholars said it's called Aziz because it's rare. You don't find that type of hadith a lot. Al-Jabbar is who nothing happens in his dominion except what he willed. Someone might interpret Al-Jabbar as the compeller. If it were to mean compeller, then you can't infer from there that the creatures don't have any will, that they don't have any choice. That's blasphemy to believe that creatures don't have a will or a choice. And Al-Jabbar could also be interpreted as the fixer, the one who fixes or rectifies the affairs of his slaves. Because that's one of the meanings of Jabr. Jabr could mean to patch something, to fix it. Al-Mutakabbir is who is clear of the attributes of the creatures and clear of resembling them. So that's another name that refers to his attribute of perfection. Yeah, it has the meaning of Al-Kabir. It doesn't mean the arrogant one. It means the great one. It's more emphatic form of Al-Kabir. Al-Kabir means Al-Azim. Al-Azim means the great. Al-Kabir means the great. Like when you say Allahu Akbar. Akbar means great. And Al-Mutakabbir comes from this meaning as a name of Allah, not for a creature. If you call the creature Mutakabbir, you're saying he's arrogant. If you call a creature Jabbar, you're saying he's a tyrant or a bully. So these are examples of words that are perfection when attributed to God and imperfection when attributed to the creature. And some words are imperfection when attributed to God and perfection when attributed to the creature, or excellence, like beauty or healthy, beautiful or healthy. And some words are perfection, yani, have good meaning, whether you attribute it to the creator or the creation, but means something different in each case. Like knowledge. Knowledge is praiseworthy. It's a praiseworthy attribute. But knowledge for God means one thing, and knowledge for the creatures means something else. Yeah. So if you haven't memorized these names, memorize them. Start memorizing them. Shouldn't take you too long. There's 99 of them. You could memorize 9 per day, and then you'll be done in less than 2 weeks. And you could really memorize more than 9 a day. You could finish in a week, or 3 days, or 4 days. And then, if you want to understand their meanings, then I suggest you teach them. That will help you. Yani, this issue of the names of God really is a big, wide chapter, though we might not hear it a lot. We learn about his attributes more than we learn about his names. And he is Al-Khaliq. Al-Khaliq is the creator who brings everything from non-existence to existence. Yes. And according to the Maturidis, Al-Khaliq does not mean the one who has the power to create. It does not mean the powerful. Al-Khaliq, according to the Maturidis, does not mean the powerful one. Rather, Al-Khaliq means the one who's attributed with creating. Now that we've been reviewing that and been repeating that, becomes, I think, clearer, ever more clearer. Although when we teach, we usually teach the people the Ash'ari way. We teach the people the Ash'ari way. Shaykh teaches the people, the general people, the Ash'ari way, while he really believes that the Maturidi way is stronger. Because Ash'ari way is easy to explain. The Ash'ari way is to say Al-Khaliq means Al-Qadir ala al-Khalq, the one who has power over the creation, or the one who has power over creation. Al-Bari is the creator who has the power to turn the entities from state to state. Creator, yes. Al-Bari means Al-Khaliq, creator. When I looked in numerous dictionaries, every dictionary I looked into personally, I didn't find any difference. And tafsir, any dictionary or tafsir that I saw personally, they say Al-Bari means Al-Khaliq. And I didn't see more than that. Yet the people, when they translate these words slightly different. So people usually translate Al-Khaliq as creator, And they translate al-bari as originator. I'm not sure, yani, what makes them do it. Not that it's wrong, I just don't know why. Like, how did they find what did they find that made them translate those into two different words? I don't really know. So when Allah says, Ulaika hum khayrul bariyah or sharrul bariyah, those are the best of bariyah or the worst of bariyah, means khalq, al-makhluqat yani. Khayrul bariyah, ay khayrul makhluqat, exactly means like that. Sharrul bariyah means worst of al-makhluqat, created things. Al-musawwir, al-musawwir is who forms his creatures in different appearances. It means image creator. Musawwir, al-musawwir means image creator. Then that proves that he doesn't have an image. He doesn't have a shape or form. Because he is al-musawwir. Had he had a shape or a form, then it means either he created himself or someone else created him. And both of those are impossible. He couldn't have created himself and given himself a form, and no one else created him also. Al-Ghaffar is the forgiver who forgives the sins of his slaves time and again. The forgiver. So, for the Maturidis, Al-Ghaffar means the one who is attributed with forgiving, not the one who has the will to forgive. Al-Ghaffar doesn't mean to the Maturidis the one who has will. It means the one who has forgiving, an attribute called forgiving, an eternal attribute. That's a doing of his. Al-Qahhar is the subduer with the perfect power and is not powerless over anything. So Al-Qahhar means the one who's attributed with qahr. Qahr is subjugation, dominance, which refers back to his attribute of power. I don't know if the Maturidis have something here different from Ash'aris for this name. Yani, a very nice lesson is if someone could teach us all the names one by one, if there's a difference between Ash'aris and Maturidis, between all those names. I only have some, not all. May Allah grant us more knowledge. Ameen. Al-Wahhab is who is generous in giving plenty without return. It means gift giver in a literal sense. The one who gives gifts. What do the Wahhabis say? Don't they say, it's haram to call someone Wahhabi? Because that's belittling the name of Allah, Al-Wahhab. So you know the answer to that. It's not belittling the name of Allah, Al-Wahhab, to call a deviant person a Wahhabi. Because he's called Wahhabi because he follows Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. So the Wahhabi is going to say, yeah, Abdul Wahhab, slave of Al-Wahhab. So that's the name of Allah, Al-Wahhab. So you're going to say to him, Al-Wahhab, yes, is the name of Allah, but this man that you follow, his name is Abdul Wahhab. And this type of name is a compound. This is a compound name. And therefore, in order to name someone after this man with a compound name, there are rules in the Arabic language. So it's not that you can't say Wahhabi because it's the name of Allah. Al-Wahhab is the name of Allah. Rather, it is that you can say Wahhabi because that's a rule in Arabic language for naming someone after another person who has a compound name. And Al-Wahhab is part of his compound name. So we talked about that in some other lessons. If you have a question, feel free to ask. Can I repeat the judgment of compound name? Yes. I'll pull something up for you here. So if you can see my screen here, which you should be able to. The name Ibn Abdul Wahhab This name, Ibn Abdul Wahhab, what does this name mean? Son of Al-Wahhab's slave. Al-Wahhab is God. So Ibn Abdul Wahhab means son of Al-Wahhab's slave. So this is Ism Murakkab, compound name. Compound means composed of two or more words. Yani, two words. Really here, there's three words. Ibn, Abid, and Al-Wahhab. How would someone or something be attributed to someone with such a name? So it's not a matter here that God's name is part of this compound. Rather, what matters here is that it is a compound. Being a compound then makes it have rules for attributing. What should the followers of this man, Ibn Abdul Wahhab, be called? So Imam Ibn Malik, he gave the rules for attributing a compound, for attributing to a compound name. Attributing to a compound name. In his millennial poem. وانسب لصدر جملة وصدر ما ركب مزجا ولثان تمما إضافة مبدوءة بابن أو أب أو ما له التعريف بالثاني وجب فيما سوى هذا انسبا للأول ما لم يخف لبس كعبد الأشهل. Those are his lines of poetry here. This gives the rule for compound names, how to attribute something to or name something after what has a compound name. Make nasab by using the first segment as long as there is no fear of confusion. Also, we're here. Okay, maybe those words aren't clear for you. Let me just get to the to the meat of the issue here. So genitive construction here basically means, it's one way of saying compound name. The blank of blank. The blank of blank. That's compound name. The word of is not going to show up in Arabic. You say Rasulullah. When you translate, you'd say messenger of Allah. So this is a compound. Rasulullah is a compound. It's a genitive construction. You say Abdul Wahhab, it's a compound, it's a genitive construction. So, if the genitive construction has two cases. Either there's no ambiguity in putting the nasab in the first segment, or there is. If there's no ambiguity, you put the nasab in the first part of the compound. Like a man named Imri al-Qais. Imri al-Qais. That's his name. This is a compound name. So how do you attribute someone to Imri al-Qais? You'd call him Imri'i or Mara'i, because it's not going to confuse you. You don't have to say Qaisi. You say Imri'i. Take the first part because there's no confusion. But if there is confusion, then you have to take the second part. Like if someone's name is Abdul Ashhal, or if someone's name is Abdul Wahhab, for example, or someone's name is Abdul Qadir, then if you take the first part, it will be confusing. If you say Abdi, then you say Abdi, Abid what? It's confusing. Abdul Wahhab, Abdul Qadir. So since using the first part would be confusing, you don't use the first part, you use the second part. So you'd say Qaisi, and you'd say Ashhali. So you'd say Wahhabi, and you'd say Qadiri, and you say Manafi. If someone's name is Abdu Manaf, you'd say he's Manafi. You don't say he's Abdi. So this is the rule of the Arabic language. So some ignorant Wahhabi is going to be mad that you called him a Wahhabi, and he's going to tell you it's haram, you can't say that because you're making fun of Allah's name. You're going to tell him, no, that's not true. We're just applying the rules of Arabic language. Is that clear? Al-Razzaq is the provider or the sustainer who makes the sustenance reach his slaves. So Al-Razzaq means the one who's attributed with Razq, with a fatha on the ra. R-A-Z-Q. Razq, not Rizq. And Razq is an eternal attribute of Allah Ta'ala. So for the Maturidis, Allah is Ar-Razzaq in eternity, even when, even if there wasn't anyone provided for. Without any sustained creature, he was still the sustainer. That word when I said when, take that out. I replaced it with the word if. Al-Fattah is who opens the closed worldly and religious matters for his slaves. Literally means the opener. Al-Alim means the knowledgeable or the knower, the all-knowing, who nothing is absent from his knowledge. Al-Alim means the one attributed with knowledge. So the Maturidi way is that just like Al-Alim is the one attributed with knowledge, and Al-Qadir is the one attributed with power, and As-Samir is the one attributed with hearing. Al-Khaliq is the one attributed with khalq, not the one who has the power to do something. Al-Qabid is who constricts the sustenance by his wisdom, makes the sustenance tight. You ran out of money, you ran out of food, you ran out of clothing, etc. He is the one who makes the sustenance tight by his wisdom. Some of the wise ones said the time of constriction is superior to the time of expansion. But some of them said not absolutely. So there's general statement. Al-Basit is who expands and widens the sustenance by his generosity and mercy. There's an ayah in the Quran. Here. Surah Ash-Shura, ayah 27. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولو بسط الله الرزق لعباده لبغوا في الأرض ولكن ينزل بقدر ما يشاء. It means, had Allah expanded the sustenance for all of his slaves, then they would have been corrupt in the earth. They would have been transgressors in the earth. Rather, Allah distributes the sustenance as he wills. He makes some of them rich and he makes some of them poor. Al-Khafid is who lowers whomever he willed by his destruction. And Al-Rafi' is who raises whomever he willed by his endowment. So Khafid literally means the one who lowers. And Rafi' literally would mean the one who raises. Al-Mu'izz is who gives esteem to whomever he willed. Who gives esteem to whomever he willed. Benefit. Muslim narrated from Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah accept his deeds, that the Prophet ﷺ used to say, Allahumma inni as'aluka al-huda wal-tuqa wal-afafa wal-ghina. Oh Allah, surely I ask you the guidance, the piety, the chastity, and the richness. And here, richness or wealth, al-ghina, is richness of self. This means dignity, respectability, esteem. Oh Allah, make me dignified. I ask you for dignity and respectability. This is not a request for money when one asks for al-ghina. Rather, it is a request for what is called ghina nafs, richness of the self. And Allah Ta'ala is the one who makes someone, this is what we're discussing. He is Al-Mu'izz and Al-Mudhil. If Allah Ta'ala gives someone esteem, then he shall be esteemed and he shall be honored regardless of any creation. Doesn't matter what any creation thinks. This is important. May Allah make our hearts firm on this fact. Ameen. And he is Al-Mudhil, the one who degrades whomever he willed. As-Sami' is who hears all things heard, yani the hearer. The hearer who hears all things heard. Al-Basir means the seer who sees all things seen. And if you want, you could say the one who hears everything. Instead of saying all things heard, you could say everything. And you could say, instead of who sees all things seen, you could say who sees everything. So then if you say that, then you might say As-Sami' means the all-hearing, and Al-Basir means the all-seeing. Just like Al-Alim means the one who knows all things known, or you could say the one who knows everything. And if you say that, then you might say Al-Alim means the all-knowing. Al-Hakam is the ruler whose judgment is his word. And this statement has some explanation here. But I want to look into the Arabic and before I say something. Al-Adl is who is entitled to do what he does. The one who's entitled to do what he does. So that's a refutation of the creed of Mu'tazila, who said God has the duty to do what's best for the slaves. And if he does not do his duty, then he is a fool. And he is unjust. And a miser. That's how the Mu'tazila believe about God, that God is a fool. He's an unjust, foolish miser. That's atheism. That's why some of the scholars said about the Mu'tazila that they are zanadiqah. That means irreligious people. And we saw in the biographies of a number of them that they're not pious people, even the scholars, quote unquote scholars amongst them. You'd think their scholars would be better than their laymen, but their scholars were rotten. So how are they laymen going to be? Subhanallah. Shiites are like that too. Not hulu, not sweet, not tayyib, not religious. Al-Latif is Ar-Rahim, the one who's Rahim to his slaves, and he endows upon them. Or it means the unimaginable. Now, I'm not reading all these words verbatim. I'm just trying to say some words that are a little bit easy for me to say. It's fine, though, if you're reading along with me here and you want to take this by talaqqi, you're still getting it by talaqqi. When I said right here, the unimaginable, you don't have to say, can you read it like that? Who is unimagined? Yeah, you could if you want to. You don't have to. You can. You'll still have taken this by talaqqi if you read it like it's read here. That's talaqqi still. And when you take a book by talaqqi, if the one who's reading makes a mistake and he doesn't go back and fix it, let's say he says a wrong haraka, you still got the talaqqi, and you say the correct haraka, is still going to be counted that you got the talaqqi. The talaqqi meaning the transmission. So Al-Latif, one interpretation of it is Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahimu bi'ibadihi. And there's another name of Allah that has the meaning of Ar-Rahim, which is Ar-Ra'uf. So Allah is Ar-Rahim and Al-Latif and Ar-Ra'uf. All of those have a close meaning. So it's not a condition that every name of Allah has a different meaning. Some of the names of Allah are interpreted by other names. These names of Allah are like ayat of the Quran. They could be interpreted in different ways, and you can interpret some of them by others. Wallahu a'lam. Let's stop there. So insha'Allah ta'ala we'll read from Al-Khabir next time. But I do want to mention for you, this name, Al-Adl, the word itself, so you know, it's a masdar. It's a source noun. It's not an adjective. But its meaning is Al-Adil, the adjective, the meaning of the adjective. Yani, Al-Adl means Al-Adil, the right one, the one who's right, or the one who's entitled. This is for your information. Sometimes you could use source noun like an adjective. So all these names of Allah are adjectives, but this name, Adl, it's not an adjective originally. And the name Allah is not an adjective also, it's a name. It's a moniker. طيب. Do you have any question I can answer for you? طيب. If there's no other question, then so let me just help you to prepare a clear statement for someone. If you need to answer him and you're not strong in Arabic, and you called someone a Wahhabi, and then he tells you can't say Wahhabi because that's making fun of Allah's name, and you're not strong in Arabic, so what do you say to him? So then you prepare this sentence for yourself. You say to him, it's not haram and it's not making fun of Allah's name. Rather, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab has a compound name. And according to the rules of Arabic language, when someone has a compound name, then you use the second part of the compound if using the first part is confusing. So you wouldn't call someone who follows Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab an Abdi. You'd call him a Wahhabi. You're not going to call him a Muhammadi. And you're not going to call him an Ibni. And you're not going to call him an Abdi. So what's left? You're going to call him a Wahhabi. So it's correct Arabic language. It's not haram. It's not belittling the name of Allah. Just like if someone followed Abdul Qadir, you'd call him a Qadiri. That's correct Arabic language. So prepare that sentence for yourself. And if you don't do it, then when you need it, you're going to say, oh man, if only I had done that. Now I need it. And I don't know what to say. Let me contact Ryan. Wa subhanallahi wa bihamdih.